Hey there, Rebel Watch fans. This is Tiffany, your favorite Gryffindor from Swish and Flick, invading your podcast. I know you're a Star Wars fan, but are you also a fan of a certain guy with a lightning scar? Swish and Flick is a new podcast that is doing a complete chapter-by-chapter reread of the Harry Potter series. We are breaking down each chapter and diving into all the details. So be warned, there are spoilers. We are also doing bonus episodes on stuff like Fantastic Beasts, Universal Studios' Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and stuff like wand lore. So put down your lightsabers, pick up your wands, and find us at Swish and Flick Cast, Swish and Flick Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, and Facebook. Podcasts are loaded every Sunday to major sites like iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and always remember, don't let the muggles get you down, and may the Force be with you.
Welcome to Rebel Watch, an all Star Wars podcast.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
Guys, there's just not much to talk about in Star
It's
Wars
a plot.
anymore. There's really not much to talk about, Mike. I don't know, unless you want to talk about, like, the director for episode 9.
There's an episode 9? That's news to me.
There is an episode 9. Welcome to Rebel Watch. I'm Ez.
Pete's here. I'm Mike. Here we go.
I thought that was great,
That was
man.
perfect.
I think it's time to talk about episode 9, right? 8's not even
Yep.
out yet, but let's go ahead and skip it, right?
Yeah.
And talk about 9.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's forget about it.
So Colin, I always say Trevorrow, but it's Colin Trevorrow.
Trevorrow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
He's out. He's no longer the director of episode 9.
Out.
He's gone.
Willingly, or do you think? I mean, they're saying what creative differences with Disney,
I
Lucasfilm.
don't think it was willingly. I think he was
Just
gone.
you know, he's good friends with Kathleen Kennedy, right?
Nuh-uh.
That's awkward.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I heard they clashed.
Well, they probably did, but I mean, I think they were good friends. They might not be anymore. But you know,
Heads
I thought, Mark Hamill and I were good friends at one point too.
Right, and then you guys haven't talked in 2 days.
A couple days. I'm
So,
starting to think
I
it's
don't know.
It's on the rocks.
It's on the rocks.
So,
But no, in all seriousness, guys. So episode 9. I don't know. You can't say it's in turmoil. I mean, this is nothing like with Lord Miller with Han Solo. This is nothing.
Not even
close, right? We haven't started. I think pre-production sort of stuff is happening,
Yeah.
or they're going to work on that in January. Perhaps start that.
Well, that's did Colin Trevorrow like have an entire script and then in Lucasfilm read it and they're like, this is garbage,
That's a good question.
or were they like,
I
no, we
think-
like some of it, but
Did they? Did he?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a really good
You had
question.
to have
actually,
something, right?
right?
Or
Perhaps.
it's just like, hey guys, I got this idea.
yeah, he
and
had. Yeah,
and they're like,
right. Or he just wasn't working well, wasn't playing ball, etc.
Yeah.
I think he was the director for Jurassic World, right?
Which
You're not a fan? Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I love Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
great.
people were raving about Jurassic World, saying it was awesome. So I mean, it is what it is. He also was the Book of something that he. What was the other movie that he
Henry.
did? The Book of Henry.
Yep.
Yeah, the Book of Henry that he directed, and apparently that got really good reviews and is awesome. I
Yeah.
guess
Never saw
I don't
it.
know, I've never seen it, so sorry. But so what do you think it was? What do you think it was that? We're going to talk about him first, and then we'll talk about the announcement for the new director.
I think it's just very similar to Lord Miller. They just got out ahead of it this time, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe they learned a lot from the Han Solo film as to what not to do to let this drag on, and even because I mean, what we heard when they started making these films was, oh, we're gonna have all these different directors. We want them to have this creative freedom and then this unique style to each film, and it maybe seems like now that they're kind of hunkering down on that and maybe saying, yeah, maybe not as much as we had thought because we have this end goal. And what you're doing is maybe too complex, and it's not getting us to that end goal.
Well, and I actually thought about that as well. So we've talked about J.J. Abrams before in episode 7 and how playing it safe, he and others in Story Group and what have you. I liked it. I'm an Uber fan, so I
did
still
too.
really liked it. But I think a lot of people are saying Rian Johnson now is going in a different direction and is not playing it safe being very risque.
Could be
a little bit with this.
Could be.
So that's awesome. Now, if you get another guy that comes in there and is just as risky or just as ballsy, then maybe, all of a sudden Star Wars is not what we know it to be, and it doesn't feel like Star Wars anymore, or it just takes a complete turn in a different direction. Like if all of a sudden they started doing time travel and stuff, I don't know. Just like I'm trying to think of something weird, a weird element that would be like really anti Star Wars. I just don't know.
So you don't think this Colin fellow walked in and he's just like, "You guys hear me out?" Snoke is Luke.
I don't think.
And he's just like, "Nah, you got that off those Rebel Watch guys."
I think if he said that, then he's out. Yeah,
we probably wouldn't have made it.
Now, if he would have said, C-3PO is,
then that's a better
Snoke
theory.
pulling the strings. Okay, all right, you're onto something. But
I can't believe we still haven't been contacted about that.
I know, me neither. It's kind of ridiculous.
That's crazy.
But
I like where you were going with that, and because I think Rian Johnson, maybe being a little edgier with Star Wars, could allow JJ to continue down that in a not a crazy manner. But I also think that maybe we didn't see a true JJ Star Wars movie in The Force Awakens.
Right.
I mean, the look was great.
Be.
It felt great. But don't you think there was an obligation to play it safe?
Well, I think the franchise itself and being like the first real big production, right, for Disney and for Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, with JJ, you had to. I think you had to reset things. You had to bring in new fans. You had to also bring along your legacy fans.
That's right.
Like they call it legacy actors.
That's right.
But I don't know. I do think that maybe we didn't see everything that JJ has to offer. I think, and we might as well just pop this out here. I think he's, in case you didn't know, you should know from the title that he is now the director of Episode 9, and some folks have a problem with that.
They do.
And I'm kind of shocked.
I am too.
Because I don't. I don't have a problem with it.
And I don't think...
I wanted Rian Johnson. I think a lot of people said,
that'd been cool.
We want Rian Johnson, and I really think, that's actually great. It's like Lawrence Kasdan in Episode 5 and 6, along with others, had a chance to work on that and sort of help. He wasn't the director or anything, but like with the screenwriting and stuff, got to continue telling that story. So I think there is something to say for continuity and having the same person sort of continue and tie this story together.
And he turned it down, right? That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing, right? I think he had promotional stuff and things that he had to finish up and just things on his calendar. He might have requested that they move it back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's speculation, but
I would have liked to have seen him and JJ together on it. I think that would have been a nice...
That would have been really interesting, I think. I think JJ tends to bring other writers and different people along and things like that. So I don't know if he would have done that with Rian, since he kind of writes and directs his own films. That might have been difficult, but I don't know. I think Kathleen Kennedy, from what I've heard, really likes and gets along with Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the other director, Gareth Edwards for Rogue One, who played ball in a sense and decided they wanted to do reshoots, etc., whatever you want to do, he was down to do that. I think that's kind of what got Lord Miller in trouble with the Han Solo film. Actually, that's all on them, I think.
Yeah.
When I heard the words Ace Ventura associated with Han Solo,
that's concerning.
That's ridiculous, actually. So
that was the lead guy, right, saying that.
Yeah. Right. And so I was fine with Kathleen Kennedy saying, we are coming in and either firing those guys, getting Ron Howard, and then if she senses the same thing going on with Colin Trevorrow, then sure, let's get rid of it. Let's get on top of it. Let's get ahead of it and be done with it and move on. This also happened with Gareth Edwards, right? Yeah. Right. Well, that was really more the reshoots, and he, as I said, was down to work with the team.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
But those people there's a lot of hate out there.
For what? For JJ?
Yeah. For him doing this film. And why is that? I think so many people are just looking at The Force Awakens and saying he played it safe, like we just talked about. But I don't know how you put that all on him. That was the huge task,
right?
To make a film of the caliber that he did and make so many people who are fans of the prequels or the original trilogy all kind of come together and review this movie in a very positive light. So that's a very it's a very tough task, and I don't, like we said, I don't think that may have been the exact film that he wanted to make, and maybe they'll say, you know what, for this finale, let's see what you could do.
Yeah, there were a lot of people involved in that. It's going to put up the different screenwriters and directors and people who were involved. And like Lawrence Kasdan is somebody who I think people respect in the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
And he was involved in the whole process, has been involved in the Han Solo process to the point where I think his recommendation or him noting that Lord and Miller were going off his script kind of perturbed Kathleen Kennedy to the point of you guys are out. They're ad-libbing everything, and it was just kind of sort of ridiculous. So he was involved in that as well, and I think people have a lot of respect for him. So I don't know. The other thing we need to mention with the episode 9 is you got this guy. How did I say his name here?
Chris Terrio.
Yeah, Chris Terrio. He's he's a writer. He's best known for his work on in Argo and Batman versus Superman and Justice League. I'm hearing great things about Justice League.
Great.
And I actually am I don't know, I'll speak for me. I am a fan of Batman versus Superman. I'm a bigger fan of Man of Steel. But
there you go.
Batman versus Superman had really good lines.
Had its moments.
In
the beginning.
Yeah.
It felt like a great movie in the beginning.
It did.
And it had its moments.
But you know what? Some of that I don't even know. I just kind of wonder how much of that the writer controls towards the end. I don't know. Like I don't know.
It's just visually the things that they were doing at the end. I don't know. That's just my kind of taste. It was just, I don't know. It was too dark, and we saw more of that in Wonder Woman. But that's. I don't think that's so much him. But I think you're right. The story was. I don't even know if I can say the story was great because. Yeah, I mean, we were throwing.
I like the themes.
The themes were great,
and so if that was awesome. But we need a great story. And the other thing too we have to remember is that like Rian Johnson's passed on and has taken this in a different direction. I got to give credit to Matt and I were talking about this the other day and how that episode 1, episode 4, and episode 7 seem apart from their counterparts in the trilogy. So you've got 1, and then 10 years later you've got episodes 2 and 3, which feel a lot closer, and they feel part of that is just the Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker and things like that. But it did have a different feel. 2 and 3, and then 5 and 6 seem to be more closely related as well. And it could be the cast, it could be a lot of other different things, but I think perhaps 8 and 9 need to feel that way. So if that's the case, and if there's going to be hopefully not an actual cliffhanger at the end of episode 8, but there's going to be something. There's going to be a trail, a rabbit hole that we have to go down and follow to figure things out. And I think Rian Johnson has set that up. So it's interesting to see JJ come into someone else's set up, and then he has to finish this. Yeah. And ultimately, he was the one who started all of this. So it does give him a chance to answer the question: who is Snoke? Who is Rey? Who are these things? How does it feel now, JJ, to have to go back and finish something that you started and set up?
And maybe this wasn't his vision. Maybe he thought that he would be directing or writing more of these.
Yeah, perhaps.
But you made a great point. Like now, it's kind of weird because maybe he had this vision, but Rian Johnson's setting this up. Like this is going to be a huge episode, to where how much more can JJ change the direction of where it's going?
Right.
We'll learn more in December, but this, I think, episode 7 set us up for some things, but it was very vague. We hear nothing about Snoke. We know nothing about Rey. So I mean, Rian Johnson can take those in directions.
Yeah, there are certain things that he can do. I mean, Rian Johnson can set this up as well as he wants, and JJ can. For example, in episode 6, there was talk that Luke might actually take the place of his father. Wow. Right, and it was this whole thing, and I think Mark Hamill might have been pushing for it, some other people, etc. But no, that is not the hero's story in a sense. It's not it's not a mythology. George Lucas was pulling from a lot of different mythologies, and he wanted that hero arc story to be final and finished, and we love it for that. So I wonder if we're going to break form, if JJ is going to do something like that, because he can be ballsy in that sense. He has elements where he can do. There's times where he can go that route, if he wants to.
He can.
So it's like we could set this up to where Kylo Ren, Ben Solo is ready to be redeemed, and then just not yet.
Takes out Snoke and everyone, becomes the ultimate villain.
Yeah, or who knows? I mean, I really do not know. So it's gonna be interesting to see where 8 leaves us, and what have you. But
and the thing is, it's just like then you have to question like, are we gonna get another trilogy after this? Are we gonna after episode 9? Are we gonna wait 10 years and then they're gonna do 3 more, or is this it? Some people are saying this is it.
I think this is it for the time being. I do.
And so that's a whole another load of pressure on J.J.
Yes.
Abrams.
You have to tie this story up, and the galaxy needs to be once again in peace. Or
does it?
Does it? I don't know. I think it does.
I don't know.
I think for this to be a numbered film, being 9, that they have to kind of go ahead and wrap this bad boy up, and then we can get into books. We could start to see turmoil happen. You could get into this years later, and you could even go a whole nother direction where, where Rey comes back as a mentor to, a group of returns or is exiled or what have you. Lots of things you can do. So I don't know. I just kind of, I think he'll wrap it up nicely, but I actually think it's less. I think people are, if he were directing episode 8, I think I hear people when they say he played it safe, etc., yada yada yada. What is he going to do? How's he going to carry on? And maybe if he were doing 8, maybe we could be more concerned about it. But I think the fact that he's coming in after Rian Johnson set this up, I think it's sort of like, okay, he is safe. I get that. The argument that he's safe, Kathleen Kennedy knows him. I got to say, oh gosh, Collider. I was just watching Ken Knapsack and Christian Harloff, talk about this, and they were mentioning that Kathleen Kennedy had problems with JJ. Like there was some turmoil.
Then that says a lot about how they regard this man.
Yeah, it does. The fact that they
a lot of trust.
Yeah, and they I think he pushed it back. He pushed back the release date, different things, or there was some just minor issues, etc. According to them, I actually didn't know that really. So I was kind of like, ooh, wow. I'm okay with Kathleen Kennedy doing what she's doing, and the big executives kind of protecting this because she sat down with George Lucas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She did.
She is his apprentice.
Yeah, she is his apprentice, and it is in her hands.
Or Dave Filoni is that both of them?
Both of them, sure. Why not? There's several folks.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just her name keeps popping up as someone who is sort of like safeguarding the franchise, and I think she's doing a great job. I think bringing in other people on Rogue One to help out Gareth and just to sort of look at things and to do reshoots and what have you, changing the ending of that movie was the right call.
Yeah,
bringing in Ron Howard. Probably the right call. I hope we will see.
We'll see. Okay.
Sticking with Rian Johnson, even when you have people like Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill coming out of the initial reading of the script and saying, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Like initial gut reaction from the actors and actresses are, this doesn't seem right. Someone needs to check this guy. And they say, go with it.
But that's all you've heard about this movie.
That's
the only issues we've heard is the actors being like, that's not exactly where I saw the story going.
Right.
But you haven't heard anything about questioning Rian Johnson and his direction or anything from Kathleen or Lucas.
The other thing, too, we met Rian Johnson, by the way.
We did at 3 a.m.
We did. And I'm super stoked about that. So, and in the small moments that we met him and we got to listen to him, even when we're standing there watching him talk to other people and listening, and we're literally from here to you. I'm like, I was standing shoulder to shoulder with the guy. Yeah. Kind of shocked.
Do you want my number? And
yeah.
like,
It was,
take it.
It was a grunt podcast, small podcast on the side. Maybe you could come on after Rian Johnson will be on the show.
Yeah, just spoiler alert next
stay
week.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So he just seems like a nice, chill guy, and he's easy to talk to. And I think maybe his demeanor, some people are saying Kathleen Kennedy could be a little hard to get along with. I don't know that, but I think maybe she's just a hard sort of like, you're going to either fall in line, here's what we need. There's no fooling around. Yeah. Colin Trevorrow is not allowed to just go out and just change things on a whim and just go in a whole new direction because I'm new and creative and I'm fresh and I've got all the success from Jurassic World. Yeah. You can't just do that. This is something that it's going to come back on her. It's going to come back on everyone.
It is. And they Disney
calmer head.
They do. But Disney paid $4+ billion for this product.
Yeah.
They're banking on this for years to come in all different aspects.
Putting a park.
Merchandise, parks, movies, cartoons, like they're investing a lot of time and money in this, and like over Kathleen Kennedy's dead body, is she gonna let an episode or a standalone movie ruin that? Disney's not going to allow that to happen.
Right.
Which they got to it a little late with Han Solo, but they've learned from their mistakes. And they're like, this is the Skywalker story.
Yeah, we're not messing around with
This
this.
cannot be
Right.
screwed up.
We were worried about standalones anyways, and I thought they delivered with Gareth Edwards and Rogue One,
Yep.
and so there looks like they're going to get things back on track with Han Solo,
Yep.
but you cannot mess around with the Skywalker story.
No.
You just can't.
You can't. Like this.
I'm okay with it being different and exploring the ancient natures of the Force, which is different. It kind of moves away from the wars
Yeah.
side of things. Like
Yeah.
there's still a war going on, but like we get this other path. So I'm interested to see what Rian Johnson has done.
Yeah.
And I'm fine for there to be some epic big battle that JJ has to
Well, like
finish with.
think about this. Like with the prequels, think how many people still talk about them. When was the last prequel made? 2005. Over 10 years ago. There's people are still bitching about.
Yeah.
it. Like if Disney hadn't bought this franchise,
Right.
would you still have like any real like Star Wars fans? Like what? I feel like I don't know.
Well, the extended universe would have kept expanding. It, I think, I
Yeah,
believe.
that's true.
I'm not really sure. I know there were new games that were coming out, and there was a couple different things that they stopped.
But the stakes wouldn't be as high.
No.
I don't think
no,
people
no.
would care as much as they do now. And there's a bunch of people. I was reading a bunch of comments on some fellow YouTubers' pages, and people are just so mean to each other about Star Wars and their fandom. It's just like, oh, I'm a true Star Wars fan. I was there with the expanded universe, and that's true Star Wars. Shut up. It's all. Everyone can be a Star Wars fan.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and announce this right now, actually, because I was saving. I was going to talk to Mike about this.
Come on.
This is the first
Hello.
time he's hearing about this.
Scared.
Sorry. I kind of thought, being a teacher, and I have a lot of students, and I just come across a lot of young folk who, quite a few actually, thousands, matter of fact. I big school district, and I listen to them talk about Star Wars, and I heard a misconception the other day, Mike. I'm going to tell you this. And there's a reason I want to do. We have a new series that I think I want to launch, and I think Mike's going to be on board with us launching this series. And it is for folk who are just wanting to come in. And a lot of credit to actually our friend Tiffany brought this up, and she said, "Hey, I want to know more about Star Wars. I want to know, but I don't really know where to start. Where should you start me? Can you retell the story? You see it?
I see the
You see the island? You see what I'm talking? So, and it made sense to me because I was listening to a simple conversation about Luke's father, and there was just this misconception. They thought that Anakin Skywalker actually had died, and I get it, but they weren't saying, like Obi-Wan was saying that he died and it was a new person. They really thought this person had died. And they were talking about their spirit being transferred into Darth Vader and all these different things. And it was just a misconception. But they're 12, 13, 14-year-olds, right? So they've heard maybe a relative or someone talk about it, and they've sort of watched a few episodes. They watched Clone Wars. That's the other thing we have to remember is a lot of these kids and stuff, they're getting into Star Wars through Rebels and through Clone Wars.
True.
They're not coming in through episode 4, 5, and 6. Matter of fact, they might just skip over those and just watch 1, 2, and 3.
True.
Unless you have someone sitting down and saying, you have to watch the originals.
Yeah.
Those don't seem like cool movies anymore because they're old, and the visual effects and all that stuff don't seem cool to them. They seem slow and boring and whatever. So I thought we would sort of do a retelling, sort of almost like a beginner's guide to Star Wars. What do you think?
I think that could be really cool, and I think you're making a great point because I myself got into Star Wars later, but I appreciated the story enough to where I could look past the imperfections and the dated technology and things like that.
Yeah.
With today's youths, I feel like attention spans are becoming they're minimal.
They are,
so to speak,
and you're not
right?
knocking them. And
It
is the day and age we live in, and it's the
is.
technology,
They're constantly being informed and communicated with on an hourly basis, more so than you and I ever did.
Yeah.
So
it's overload to us.
It is. So it's no fault of their own. So to be able to make it interactive and enjoyable, and to really say, hey guys, there's a great story here that you can get out of Rebels and things like
Right.
that. But there's a lot to learn in those original trilogy.
There is. I mean, here's another misconception I heard. I literally heard this yesterday, and this was because I have kids coming up and talking to me about Star Wars, or they want to talk about Star Wars around me, and so I'm listening. And in Episode 3, there's a cutscene where there's a deleted scene where Mon Mothma and Bail Organa come in, and they come into some parlor, and they bring Padme in on this. It's a deleted scene.
I never saw this one.
They're talking about this, and as they're talking about this, they're talking about how it was sort of Padme's idea to start the rebellion. And I was just listening, and I'm like,
Wow.
it's their conversation. You let kids learn and grow in different ways and stuff like that. So I never really interject unless they ask me, which thank God some kid did. He was like, so let me check that through, like, Mr. Kirk. I don't really know if that's true. And they did. And when they brought it to me, it was just sort of like, I was like, well, actually, I think they brought her into this.
Yeah.
They were starting to be worried about, the state of the Republic, and so they brought her into that whole piece and stuff.
Didn't
and
the
it's
Separatists start
it's a
the
small
rebellion?
I mean, is there a case there? But it's little things like that, and that's not a huge thing. It's really not. I've heard bigger conundrums, but it's just interesting. I thought, you're right when you were saying earlier that people bashing each other for where they started in Star Wars. You got to remember, we got young kids and people who are coming and playing video games and who appreciate and love these characters. Battlefront 2 is about to come out, and I hear all of my kids talking about it. They're super stoked. They love that they're going to get like Luke Skywalker, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. They're talking about awesome. What's he going to be like to play and all this sort of stuff. And what are his powers? What was it that he could use before?
We haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, I know. And so it's interesting to sort of listen to them be excited about it. And so I want people to understand that, like, you want this younger generation to come in and to be Star Wars fans. I think it's what you want. You
do.
know? I mean, it's what George Lucas intended this to be, is for kids.
Yeah.
And it's nostalgia for us because we've grown up with it, and it's just like, now it's, I don't know, it's great.
Well, they just sound like 80-year-old men just griping about the youth. Like, let them enjoy what they enjoy. You're no more of a Star Wars fan than anyone else just because you've read all of the new Jedi Order. Like, that doesn't make you a better Star Wars fan. So just be kind to one another.
Yeah, sometimes I'm sorry that you have read the whole new Jedi.
It's just,
no, I'm kidding. I actually love the new Jedi Order, but
it's frustrating at times.
And my thing is, I was talking about this to someone the other day. I said, you look at the Legends right now is what we call it.
Yeah.
This extended universe that was there before. How are we expecting, our 12, 13, 14-year-olds to get in and read all of those books, all those comics, and to dive into that? No, that's where you come in, and you're that guiding, you're that Obi-Wan, you're that mentor, you out there, and you sort of put that in their hand, and you say, here's a good one, here's a good story. Or you need to read the novelization of A New Hope, because it's pretty darn good, actually. Things like that. Like, I think that's where you come in. And actually, on Disney's part, I know people are really upset about them kind of doing a reboot and a reset, but it is helping, I think, to bring in a younger generation into this. And as a business, that's what they want to do. They know we're going to buy into it. They know that we've been into Star Wars for years, and we've been fans since we were kids. So they've already got us.
Yeah.
George Lucas got us.
I agree.
So they took a fan base, that's this big, and now, so we're getting older and older. They need to bring in a new fan base and continue the legacy.
Absolutely. Well said. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
When do we start?
Yeah, I think we start tomorrow.
Okay.
Today. Tonight.
Good.
Right now.
I'm ready.
But anyways, so that's coming. That's just something that I thought I'd give a quick shout out to some folks who were talking about it, and they said you guys would be great to sort of retell that story, and I'm happy to do it, and I would love to just to sort of, people want to soak up some more information, some knowledge and stuff, just to hear us talk about each film. Because even though you've seen the film, it's sort of like there are references to the books and the comics that people don't have the time to go do that. So let's streamline it and get it out there for folks. Star Wars Explained. Sorry, Alex.
Still haven't hit us back.
Yay.
That's okay.
Alex, if you want to be on the podcast, let us know. He does a really good job, actually, of explaining different things and giving you a short.
And he actually hit us up. I that was totally false of me, and we were like, we're a little busy right now, but
he did. So actually, we'll get back.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. So anyways, back to the director though. I mean,
Yeah.
just to kind of finish this off, like, what do you? I mean,
Overall, I'm happy.
I'm happy too. Yeah,
And the fact that, there's some haters for The Force Awakens, and Disney's aware of that. They're aware it was a safe movie. The fact that they're giving JJ yet another piece of this trilogy to say, bring us home, man. Like, that's a huge responsibility. The fact that they trust him enough to do that, this is their baby. This is the Skywalker story. I'm on board.
But here's my question to people who didn't want JJ.
Yeah.
Who did you want?
Yeah,
And they'll
exactly.
say-
Yeah.
They'll say Ryan Johnson. So
Cool.
do we.
Yeah.
Awesome. But
that's a lot to expect from a man who spent years on this movie.
and was not anticipating doing that.
Was not, and
Was
has
probably
a
lining up
family,
other projects.
As other
actually.
projects, like this movie will probably change his life. So he's got other stuff going on. Like, to ask
Right.
him to do that is a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure maybe he'll have some creative input, but that's just a lot.
People were saying there was some speculation that if he did even sort of do, I forget what it's called, but even if he were to sort of write some of this or to leave sort of like an outline, that JJ would just like, no, he's not. It's been set up for him. They do
Yes.
talk. They will communicate.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
will share vision, I think.
Definitely.
But JJ's like, I'm going to do this my own way. I want to hear what you have to say because
Yeah.
obviously, he's going to write the sequel to it. So
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's big. But I don't know if you're not picking Ryan Johnson, who else are you picking?
Yeah.
And honestly, let us know down in the comments. I mean, who is a better choice? Who would you like to see direct this film? I think on the fly and the time that they had, it made a lot of sense. I actually really thought, I was like for sure they were going to say Ryan Johnson. I was going to be like, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And if they said anybody else, I was going to be like, nah. But then they said JJ. And I was like, oh, okay. So there could be somebody else out there that maybe could have been awesome as well that we're not thinking of or that didn't cross our mind. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's gotta be someone that can handle this pressure and this big budget blockbuster, colossal movie that's going to hit us. Someone's got to be able to handle that. He's dealt with it. I mean,
he's in Star Trek.
I think he honestly revitalized Star Trek and made it fun
Right.
once again, just like Star Wars for a whole new generation of people. I myself was one of those people. Like, I think he did a great job, and I don't think he's going to hold back on this one, and I don't think Disney's going to hold him back much. I mean, yeah, there's an end goal here, but they want to keep us reeling for another trilogy.
They do.
And they want to keep us reeling for standalones and cartoons. Like, this is going to be big.
I actually think that they might leave us on even a bigger high than 6 left us.
I agree.
I really do. We've never been in a position like you had 6 and it was sort of like you knew that was okay because we didn't know how big it was going to be, etc. George's like, it's a trilogy. We're going to end it up. This is where it needs to wrap up. Right now, we don't know that 9 is, there's not a talk like that's what's going to happen.
They're not going to.
We have no idea. So my question, like, see, in all seriousness, are we just wrapping this up here and this is going to be the end of the story for these, for Poe, for Finn, for Rey, Luke and Leia and all these different characters, right? I mean,
Yeah.
or are they going to pick right back up and go into 10, 11, and 12? Or are they going to give it, you know what I'm saying?
I think they'll give it some time, but I feel like there's an obligation. I feel like people
how they end it in 9 is really
Yeah.
going to dictate
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah, but I mean,
So-
like, you look at 6, though. I mean, the way it ended, did anyone really think that they were going to do anything later, especially how many years later? Like,
Yeah. No.
30-some years or whatever?
I
Like,
mean,
yeah. But when
I'm
George
just
Lucas
kidding.
goes on 60 Minutes and says, there will not be an episode 7, everyone besides Ezra Kirk believed him. So, right? I mean, I remember the conversation in your old Oldsmobile 88
no, Mike.
where we were talking about
No,
it.
Mike, do you remember that?
I do remember
Because
that
I
conversation.
legitimately said, I used to swear up
Yeah.
and down. I was just like, there is no way,
No way.
that he's not going to continue this story.
Liar.
And I just kept thinking they're getting older. He could bring them back. Even
Yeah.
if not, he could go to their kids. Yeah, so
Yeah, no, it's...
sorry, folks. I had to get that in.
But that's the thing. I wouldn't, had I seen that movie back in '83, I would have been like, yeah, that's probably it. That would have been a great way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So I think, people fell in love with these new characters really fast.
They did. Yeah.
So I feel like there is going to be an obligation to do another trilogy. It probably won't be 10 years down the road, but maybe 5 years will pass and they'll be like, you know what? Here we go. Let's pick this up again. And that depends on what other standalones and series they have in between there. Like, that could be anything, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm just thinking. I'm okay. I just want him. He is going to wrap it up. It needs to feel final in case. Like it needs to feel. I need to feel good at the end of this. But then still like, because I was asking questions like after 6. I mean, that's why the extended. That's why the EU came to be because What happened? Did Luke go on and did he pass on what he'd learned from Yoda? Did he do those things? Did he, what happened afterwards? Like, was the entire empire destroyed? All those questions. The remnant was still there. How did this all resolve? So I thought they did a really good job in building that. And they had to do big story arcs. They had to bring in Timothy Zahn and different folks to kind of talk about where we wanted it to go in the early 90s. So,
but look at your fan base now. I mean, like this, it's becoming this huge production. Like,
yeah, it is.
There's going to be an expectation, I think.
There is. And I think, though, to fill time in case they need that break, they're not even talking about this. We're getting way ahead here, which is great.
Love it.
Love it. I think they'll go back to the Old Republic before. I think they'll do that before they come back to Rey and her story.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and I'm okay if they don't come back to Rey's story for however many years, and if it never works out, because it's unbelievable that it worked out that we had, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford to do this story,
and we're willing to do it,
and willing to do it, and it's still healthy and able to do it. It's actually unbelievable that we got that. So we are blessed. We're living in great times.
I was just thinking, like, when we were talking about years down the road, like the animation, what it's going to look like, that excites me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have Disney in a couple of years creating their own streaming network.
Yeah.
And they already announced their Star Wars stuff and their Marvel stuff is going to be on the Disney streaming network.
Right.
So, I mean, there's going to be a ton of properties. You see what Marvel did with all their TV shows and stuff like that. Could be exactly the model, and it's successful.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be. You look at timelines. It doesn't have to be. It could be an older timeline. It could be something in between. Could do a small little mini series between movies or episodes, or in between 6 and 7. It could even be post 9 if they decide to do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. So.
I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
With the
I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied.
It's coming December 20th of 2019.
That's right.
That's been confirmed.
That has been confirmed. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. I think Last Jedi is within. So we got 60 days or something. 67 or 64 days. Something.
Oh, we've got more than that, right? We've got 90 some at this point.
You sure?
Right? Yeah, because that's December, I think, isn't it? Or early September.
Let me check here.
That's
Last
3 months.
Jedi countdown. There's got to be one out there, right?
I'm pretty sure it's like 3 months. How many days?
They've got
94 days.
What do we got? 93 days, 4 hours, 15 minutes, 34 seconds. Okay, so
how many days until StarWars.com?
Like legitimately, these conversations I was having a couple of days ago. One of my students came up. He's just like, "Yeah, I mean, this is why." Not so sure math is. He said we had like 60 some days left or whatever. I didn't even question it. I was just like, "Great, that's awesome. It's coming soon." What day is it? I have no idea.
Oh, that's why you're not a math teacher.
Man, that's hilarious. Yeah, exactly. 93 days.
We were both in pre-calc together, and it was terrible.
Oh, thanks, Miss Diamond.
Shout out to Miss Diamond if she's watching. But
failing me.
Yeah, this isn't a mathematics podcast.
I scraped by with a C minus. Okay.
Yeah, I might have been around there. I don't even remember.
I think I was looking off your paper. So
we watched.
I'm just kidding.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
If she ever saw this, it'd be really embarrassing.
It would be.
She would just pop in the show numbers.
All of those bones. Numbers, you're right, yeah.
And I'm like, how is this related to pre-calc? Oh, it has the word numbers in the title.
No, we watched it almost every day.
Nothing to do with calculus.
And then we took a test on pre-calc. I literally don't know how we made it.
She was phoning it in all the time.
That was unbelievable.
I'm sorry.
Those are good times.
No offense, Miss Diamond, if you're still teaching.
Sorry about that. All right. So anyways, guys, thanks for checking in with us today. Yep. We hope you're as excited. I believe we're going to have a trailer coming soon, Mike. What do you think?
It's building up so much. We went 3 or so weeks without like any Star Wars news. And now it's like, bam, Rebels trailer. Bam, Force Friday. Bam, here's a release date. Here's our director. It's coming.
Yep.
Maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think it has to, right? They've got to start.
Yeah, they have to.
I think I don't know.
It has to. It's not gonna
we got the behind the scenes, which is cool. So it's sort of like I think maybe it might be late September, October.
Yeah. There's a lot of speculation coming out too about the Praetorian Guards being the Knights of Ren, and yeah, we got a lot of speculation.
Okay. I've been trying to avoid some of that stuff though.
That's okay.
Like I've been trying
why we need a trailer so we can talk about it.
For sure. So is that Mark Hamill?
No, That's our good buddy Fogel hitting us up about the Vader comic because we haven't reviewed it. And he's
Wow.
reminding us, review it, fellas.
Okay, thanks, Fogel.
Thank you, Fogel.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you think about the choice for director for episode 9. Do you agree? Would you pick someone different? Leave some. Just leave your thoughts down there in the comments. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Hey Star Wars fans, hope you enjoyed this edition of Rebel Watch. If you did, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you'd like to become involved with this podcast, please go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/Rebel Watch. Thanks.